Wow, everybody's already in here? How do people show up so early? I don't understand. Oh. All right. Well, how is everybody? I'm gonna mute that. There we go. Hi. Um, so I don't know why, but I felt the need to do a Q&A today. I'm gonna move this a little bit. Hold on. Move that up. Kinda. Hi, everybody. So I felt the need to do a Q&A today. I don't know why. I'm pretty low on energy right now, so I just did a lot in the past 2 days, so I'm just really exhausted. But for some reason, something was telling me I should have done a Q&A today, so I decided to drop in. I'm gonna set my timer so I don't overdo myself, and we will go through a couple of questions that you may or may not have. So I think I already have a mod in here, is what I see. Thea! Yes, I feel like I haven't seen you in a bit, but it's probably just because I haven't been live in a bit. If you see me looking over here, it's because I am looking at my laptop. I'm live streaming on my phone because that's the only way I can live stream right now. YouTube's kind of being stupid, so I'm looking at the comments and the chat room over here. So yeah. But I pulled some cards too, just because I was like, I don't know why I want to do a Q&A. And it looked like I really should have. So I have the star and I have the 10 of coins. So that was, it was like, you should really, you should really do a Q&A. So we're gonna start off with a couple of questions. It's a general Q&A too. It doesn't have to just be witchy, but we'll do the best we can. I know that I won't be able to get to everybody, but I will do my best. So let's see where we're going. Let's see where we're going. Oh yeah, that's probably true, Thea. Let's see. And oh, just to throw this out there, if it's too personal, I won't answer it. If you spam the chat, I won't answer it. Just be respectful because nobody needs that. All right, let's see. So, the cluster system. I'm having writer's block, but for my craft. Yes, that happens sometimes. It's just called a spiritual slump. Don't be too hard on yourself. It'll come back. I mean, I've had that plenty of times, and really, it's just like sometimes you just need to take a break from it. That's all it is, and kind of reconnect with yourself in a different way, because there's so many different ways to thank you, Erin. Hi, Erin. There's so many different ways to connect with yourself other than just, or in a spiritual way, instead of just spiritually. Does that make sense? So mine is dancing. I like to play music, or I like to draw or journal. And those things I can connect with myself in a spiritual way without it being heavily spiritual. Does that make sense? So that in itself is kind of, it's just like not putting too much pressure on yourself to be spiritual, because that can really block us up. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Do you know where to find a grimoire? You can make your own. You don't, I mean, I don't know like what your question really entails, if it's where to find the information for it or where to find the book itself. But yeah, grimoires, it's really just a collection of all of your information that you've collected, any experiences, any spells, any dreams or ideas or whatever. So a grimoire is really just a giant ass journal that you put everything in. So this can even be like doodles and things that you've collected. It's really up to you on how you want your grimoire to be. So anywhere. Hi, Jason from Toronto. Hey. Let's see. New Zealand. Hi, Hannah. Hannah. Okay. Starlove80, I'm moving. Any advice for moving into a new place and cleansing? That's a really good idea. That's what I did when I first moved into this place. So really, I would just go through before you move a bunch of stuff in if you're able to, and go to each room. If you can, I would smoke cleanse throughout just because smoke expands and fills the space. If you're sensitive to that, I would use a spray and go through. You can use like a wash, and you would do a floor wash throughout the whole entire house. You can use your broom and sweep it through, or you can use a wash and wash all of the door frames and all of the windows and wash the mirrors. So that's a really good one to do. And then once you're done cleansing everything, make sure to set up protections. So this can be black salt, regular salt that you've blessed, red brick dust. You can set up wards and bury them in the front or the backyard if your new place has a yard. So things like that, that's a really good way to go about it. But congrats on the new place if you're moving. Let's see. It's 2 a.m., girl, go to sleep. All right, let's see. This chat moves really quickly, so forgive me. Forgive this dyslexic girl. Wow, I feel really dyslexic. Okay. Somebody asked, do I use magic wands? I do not. That's not something that I personally use. It's Rose, where are you? It's 6:30 in the morning. You're 12 hours ahead of me. That's crazy. Okay. Thank you, Taya. I'm trying to take my time. Okay, let's see. Wow, there's a lot. Oh, Rachel, a plant tour. Maybe. My plants are just now recovering from, wow, guys, can you hear that? There's like this guy that's like revving his engine. He must have like the biggest car in the world. I almost said something else, but I know that there's younger coven mates here. Oh gosh, I was answering a question. Oh, plant tour. So they're just now recovering from this last summer. It was, they all burnt to a crisp. Lauren, are you a singer? You know what's hilarious is I wanted to be a singer for a really long time, and everybody thought that I was gonna go into music. And then I did go into music when I was 16, and I like made a music video and like went to Nashville and was like almost gonna sign with a record. And then I was like, I don't like this. Because I hated everything about it. Like I hated the industry, and they were telling me how to dress and how to act and what to be, and I was like, gross, no. So then I just told my mom, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And my mom was like, okay. Please sing something and post it. Maybe towards the end of the chat, and I warm up to being on live. Because I do have my ukulele right here, but I'm not very good with ukulele, so we'll get there. We'll get there. Bobby, what's my favorite element? Probably earth and fire. I think those two I work with the most, but I don't know, I'm really like connected to earth itself because I feel like I'm an earth sign. So yeah. Will you show a pole dance routine? I have a couple on my Instagram. If that's what you're looking for. Yeah, YouTube is kind of weird about posting pole dancing. So, and also, you know, like if I post something with music, a lot of the time they'll be like, oh, you have to take it down or like mute it. That's weird. All right, let's see. Joy, in this craft, is it preferred to be vegan, vegetarian, or does it matter? That is totally up to you. Who's sending me money? I just saw that. Thank you. James, and who is that? Daya, or is it it's Daya, right? With a J? I'm sorry, I can't. That's really sweet of you. Both of you, James, I will answer your question in just a second. I was answering a question prior to that. You distracted me. There was, vegan. No, so I'm not vegan or vegetarian. that is totally up to your own morals and how you decide to practice your craft. James, Olivia, candle magic, do you have any advice for a beginner? White works for any color, any intention. I would start with, oh, let me see if I have some, hold on. Oh gosh. Hold on now. All right. So James, I would start with something like this. So it's a little better than a tea light because you can carve into it, you can anoint it, but it's not a giant candle. These burn pretty quickly. You can actually get them. These are just like votive candles. And I've gotten them at the grocery store. And at any metaphysical or spiritual shop, there's this one or like these. I actually got this one at the dollar store. So thank you, Natasha. I appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, you can carve. I like freestanding candles because you can carve into them and anoint them physically. 7-day candles are good, but that does require a lot more intention of sitting down with them every day and praying over them every day or blessing them every day. So that would be my advice. And candle magic is really versatile. So my advice is also to get creative. So beta girl, thank you. How do I cleanse myself prior to a justice spell? So cleanse yourself how you usually would cleanse yourself. I would cleanse your space and your tools as well. And then once you do the justice spell, finish it out completely. And once you feel like it's completely done, cleanse yourself, your space, and your tools all over again. I would recommend a spiritual bath. So even just like a little bit of salt, a little bit of rosemary, and then to protect yourself afterwards, a little bit of salt, a little bit of rosemary, and a little bit of mugwort if you can get your hands on any. If not, that's okay. Lavender works too, but you know your girl doesn't like lavender. So, and mugwort works a little better for that protective aspect in the astral and the spiritual realm. Yes, thank you for that question. Okay, let's see. Do I still get the witch's box? I do. I'm actually working on another unboxing. Well, it's not the box itself. I'm getting the books now because I don't want to get the boxes anymore because I'm trying not to collect any more things because I have a lot of things and you know I don't want to keep collecting just like items that I don't use. And even if I do use them, I don't know, it's just like a lot of physical things that stresses me out. So let's see. Kayla, thank you, Kayla. So dyslexic. Hold on one second. I just wanted to say thank you, amazing teacher. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I make sure to do your own research though. Don't take all of my advice totally. It's just y'all are sending them in. I'm like, whew, thank you. Yeah, make sure to cross-reference my words. Natalie, thank you, Natalie. Yes, I'm glad that my videos can help you out. Okay. Thantos the Dark. I have given away the boxes. I've given one to Caitlin. I've given one to Dylan. And I have given away some different items and stuff away to other witchy friends. Abby, 202, hey, 2020. Do you have advice for new and young witches? I actually have a video that I just released on that. There's a lot of advice that I would give, but the biggest piece of advice is just read everything. Yeah, you wanna make sure that you're doing as much of reading and research. I personally think that like 70% of practicing is doing research, and for me, I like doing that. So that's not a huge deal. But Alicia, wish YouTube would let you post pole dance videos. Oh, thank you. You're looking to get a pole, X pole. I don't know where you're living right now, but I'm pretty sure they ship internationally, X pole. And my pole is a 45 millimeter chrome, static and spin. I know that might sound like, what are you saying? But it just means that it spins and it stays still, and it's 45 millimeters all the way around. There are 40 millimeters and there are 50 millimeters. The 50s are the kinds of poles that they use in clubs. So those are a lot thicker. And then the 40s are the ones that are more for like sport poles. So it really just depends on like what you're comfortable with. But if you start dancing at studios, most likely they'll have 45 millimeter poles. So that is the one that I would recommend. That was a lot of information. I'm sorry, but yes. Okay. Hi, Jessica. You finally caught the live chat. I know I don't do these very often. You know, the introvert in me just really, it's just a whole thing. Let's see. Jennifer, what's your opinion on solitary practice versus practicing with a coven? This is a very interesting question. Missoni, thank you. I think that's how you say it. Sorry. I will answer that in a second. But Jennifer, solitary practice versus coven. So solitary, so personally I like solitary better. My coven is a non-denominational coven, so we don't have, like, we're not Wiccan, but we don't practice any certain kind of religion or I guess thought process, if that makes sense. We're all very eclectic. We practice totally different things. Whereas most people who are in a coven, or most covens, are all they all practice one certain thing, like Wicca, or a certain type of Wicca, or you know, hoodoo, or so there's like different types of things. It really depends on the person. My advice is to practice solitary and learn solitary until you feel like you know your own practice enough. Just because if you jump into working with a coven immediately, then all of their ideals, their morals, their beliefs are going to be projected onto you. And I would prefer to have your own beliefs and your own standpoint before you decide to hop into going into a coven. Okay, so Miss Sony, you said recommend a good older witchcraft book for me. I mean, how much older? But I really like Scott Cunningham. He's one of like the classics. A lot of people really like his, but that's not like really old. It's older, but he's got a lot of really good information. Any books for baby witches? I'm not gonna, don't take this like mean, but I actually hate that question. Not in a way that like, don't ask me that question, but more of just like, it's such a broad question, because one beginner witch may need or get more value out of one book, whereas the other baby witch may not see any value in the book that I suggest. So that's just kind of like a really difficult question for me to answer. I would say Elements of Spellcrafting. I just read that one, and that one was really, really good for beginners who wants to like cast spells. But again, like, I don't know what kind of witchcraft you want to practice and like what your practice would look like. Somebody just sent me something. Danny, my 15-year-old daughter and I enjoy watching your videos together. Thank you. I've been practicing since I was a child, learned from my mom, now my daughter is. That's awesome. That's really cool. I actually just talked to somebody about like practicing with their child and with their children. So that's really cool. All right, let's see. T-lit bow. No, you're not. Yeah, it's like a difficult question to answer. Let's see. James, how will I want to know how do I know if I want to be a Wiccan or just a witch? I can't answer that one for you. That's all you. Wiccan is a religion, and I don't practice Wicca, so that's a difficult thing to answer. Let's see. Is it Brittany? Britley. I think that's how you say it. How do you figure out what your spirit animal is? I don't know. I have not figured that out. There's a lot of questions and like stigma, or not stigma. What's the word? Conversation around that word right now. Just because there's a lot of people who think that spirit animal is just a Native American thing, whereas all of the Native American practitioners that I have spoken to say that they do use spirit animals, but it's not just to them, because all religions and all cultures around the world have figured out or have used animals in the spirit realm to identify with. So, but I don't know. I have no idea what my spirit animal would be. Cadenza. I'm probably pronouncing your guys' names so bad. Any advice for a Catholic witch? Bruh, work with the saints. Saint Michael is my boy. If you are ever like freaked out and you feel like something is spiritually getting to you, you light a red candle and you petition Saint Michael, ain't nothing fucking with Michael. Let me tell you that right now. All right, let's see. Hold on. Okay. I become apprehensive about doing actual spell work, doubtful on my ability, feeling focused. Any way to remedy this? Sapphire. Thank you, first of all. Second, yes, Aaron, Saint Michael he's my boy. Yeah, Mel. So, Sapphire, this comes with practice. Eventually, there's going to be this click. I remember, like, it was kind of like a stumbling around, and then sometimes I'd get it, sometimes I wouldn't. But there was this one point that I was like, oh my gosh, I understand how this works. And I can't explain it to you. It's like something that you just get it. Like it just like clicks and you're like, oh. But if you practice, the more you work with different tools, the more you work with different energies, the more you work with yourself and figuring out what you need and how you work, because the reason everybody practices different is because everybody works differently. So the reason you figure all of those things out and you kind of get your footing, it's going to come a lot easier to trust in yourself, especially once you get that little thing that you're like, oh my gosh, that worked, There's some things that I feel like I can't explain enough. I apologize for that, but I hope that helped a little bit. So practice. Rylan. Wow, Rylan, thank you. I hope just everybody who's sending me this prosperity my way, first of all, I appreciate it so much. Second, I hope that comes back to you tenfold. I really do, because your guys' support literally means everything to me. You are my favorite witch on YouTube. You've taught me so much. Thanks for featuring my IG post. Oh, you're really sweet. Thank you. Yeah, I like featuring those posts, just so you guys know. So if you post something on the Wonderlust Coven, I really love to like post those at the end of some of my videos. Velvet Von Black, can you recommend a spell to protect a loved one? Yeah, so I mean, it depends on if they're okay or not okay with you practicing, but one of my favorite things is to charm a piece of jewelry or to draw sigils around them. So like, maybe in their home or in their car or things like that. I will straight up make a charm bag and I give them to Alex and I'm like, you better carry this with you. So that's kind of how I work with that. But a good like actual protection spell is to have a picture of them right over, like on the back of the paper, on the back of the picture, write their names 3 times and their birthdays and turn it, and over their names you're just going to write they're protected, the energy around them is protected, no harm comes to them spiritually, physically, or mentally. And you can meditate over this. I would keep this in a safe place, and you can light candles with it. You can even do this with a jar spell. So there's a lot of protective herbs that you can get very easily at the supermarket. So go ahead and check out like some correspondences on Google. Super cool. All right, I lost something somewhere. There was another question in here that I was like, that looks cool. Somebody asked, so a lot of you are asking about the Fae, and if you don't know already, I'm half Irish, and the Fae is very closely connected to me. I am just now learning a lot more about how I can work with them directly, because I've always worked with them unknowingly most of the time, but I'm learning a lot more about it, and I don't feel comfortable saying how to work with them because I don't feel like I have a strong enough footing to do that. Somebody said, the explosion of you, why is dark energy so attracted to witches? So there is no such thing as dark energy. There's no such thing as white energy. It's just energy. It's nature. So nature is not bad or good. It's just nature. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Let's see. I am not gonna try to pronounce your name because I am going to not do it justice. So I would feel awful if I didn't do it correctly. But thank you. New to witchcraft. Always drawn to the sun and fire. Is there solar magic similar to lunar? Yes. So solar magic is a lot more on the masculine side of energy. Very, very radiant, very bright. I personally like to charge a lot of my items and my tools in the sun. A really good way to work with the sun is to literally sunbathe. Like just, I mean, you know, wear sunscreen and everything, but taking a walk out in the sun, feeling the warmth, meditating on it for even just 2 to 5 minutes, really good way to connect with the sun. There's a lot of different crystals that connect with the sun. I'm not a crystal person. I'm not the one to ask. But if you Google crystals associated with the sun, then that's a good way to do that. But yeah, you can absolutely work with the sun. Actually, Adela Levine, she's the medium. She's my medium friend. She's on YouTube as well. She is a sun baby. She loves the sun. She loves the heat. Girl, I am not a heat baby. Okay, Ghost. What did you say? Where did you go? How do you prepare or charge a journal for manifestations? I actually don't. If you're talking about writing down manifestations, I straight up just write them down and try to be as specific as I can. But that's it. I mean, I don't really charge anything. I will not do a video on runes because I don't work with runes, so that'd be silly for me to do a video on something I don't know anything about. Let's see. Yes, the cold babies unite, and then Aaron's over here like, yeah, the heat. Anna, can I cast a spell without speaking out loud? Do you have a video for spell casting? I'm generally nonverbal. Yeah, actually you can. There is a power within speaking the words out into the world, but you can absolutely cast spells without speaking out loud. Especially when I have people home and I'm casting, I will usually whisper it because I feel like there is power in saying it out loud. But I have cast spells just in my head. That's totally possible. Let's see. Zoe. Oh, this is a good question, Zoe. Hello. Is being emotionally unstable in any way affect your spells, practice, and rituals? So there is controversy on this. Some people believe, okay, let's see. So emotions can either empower or break your spell. Now, the reason I say that is because a lot of the time people come to a witch for spell casting such as love magic or like hex this person, and it's out of an emotional recoil, right? So it's not justified. Whereas if you emotionally feel something and then you release that and you still feel like it's justified even outside of the emotional recoil, I think that the emotion can fuel it. However, you shouldn't be doing spell work out of an emotional place, if that makes sense. So it doesn't mean that you're not capable of it. It just means that you should take like 1 or 2 steps away first before immediately casting, because there's definitely been times that I've been like pissed and then I'm like, I'm gonna cast this, and then I'm like, no, because it's just not gonna work out. It's just not gonna work out very well, you know? Misty, thank you, Misty. Come from a religious family. I hand down my practice to my kids and hate keeping a secret. They're so powerful. So, Misty, so you have kids, okay, and then you hate keeping it a secret. They're so powerful. So, I mean, I don't know a lot about your situation, but really keeping it a secret, it's really difficult, but like I just like don't bring it up around family. I won't post as much, like on Facebook, I'm like non-existent on there. I won't usually post witchy things, but with your kids, you know, I think that's something that you can bond over. I'm sorry. I hope that that's helpful in some way. But I am planning on making like a video about practicing in secret pretty soon here, just because that is something that I think is important. Let's see. Anna, can one blend faiths into their craft? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's totally what, yeah, do it. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm coming out with a video about practicing in secret pretty soon. Probably next month, because I already have my videos planned out for this month, but bye Michael, good night. But that's a good topic to cover, because a lot of people are asking. Jennifer, I do not work with any deities, not at this time. Let's see. Alyssa, I have a video on candle magic with Dylan. Thea, what are my most used tools? My tarot cards, candles, oils. I'm trying to think of anything else. I usually tend to stay with like the same pretty close stuff, but yeah. I use herbs and stuff too, but those are my most used. Let's see. Jason, I do want to do a video collage with Dylan. I want to do way more videos with Dylan. Emily the Virgo, I am not a spirit person. I mean, I talk to spirits sometimes, but not very well. So I would suggest going over to Adela Levine's YouTube, because she has a lot more information, being that she's a medium. Do I know any witches who have chronic pain and spells for helping it? That's a really good question. I don't think I do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I know any. That's a really good question, though. Yeah, I'm sorry. I do have a friend who he uses breath work and meditation, and he did this is his personal information, so I'm not going to go super deep, but he got into a situation where he basically should have been poisoned in a sense, and it should have gotten to his heart really quick, but because he immediately went into meditation, it actually slowed his heart rate and allowed himself to get to the hospital and the doctors to save him before the poison got to his heart, which is like, really crazy. But I don't know, like he said that it did help with a little bit of the pain, though that's very difficult to, I mean, chronic pain is nothing to be fucking with, you know? So, thank you, Sierra. Sierra, that's what I meant to say. What are my favorite ways to incorporate art and creativity into witchcraft? Artistic baby witch. So I like to collect sticks and put them together. Bye, Bonnie. Have a good night. Yes. So you can, if you work with any deities, you can draw something or create something for them as an offering. So that's a really good way to do that. And really, like, if you put any of your artistic craft into your craft itself, so like creating your own tools, painting on some of your tools, maybe making like painting a box for your tarot cards or for your crystals, those are just all really good ways to do it. I would say just be as creative as you possibly can for that. Somebody asked how big their altar should be. It can literally be the size of a tin can, or it can be like a whole shelf. It's totally up to how much room you're able to have. Good night, Thor. Rebel Sensations, how do you use a pendulum? I have a video on that. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got a lot of pendulums. Got a video on that. I got you. Good night, Kenneth. Have a good one. Let's see. Do you have any goals for expanding your practice in 2020? Yes, I do. Thank you, Hawthorne and the Rose. I am trying to learn more about like my heritage and things like that. So I am half Irish and half Filipino. So that's a lot of like folk magic, which is why I'm not like up here. I'm very earth-based, which is probably like why I'm an earth sign too, but still, you know. That is, sorry, I'm trying to read the comments and do that. I can't chew gum and walk, if you know what I mean. Let's see. Star Love, do I cook anything in a means to perform a spell? I usually bless my coffee in the morning. So I'll bless the coffee and then I'll put like cinnamon in it and I'll bless that. And sometimes I'll put vanilla extract and I'll bless that and I'll do that. I'm not a person who cooks. I don't cook very often. I don't bake, so I'm not a kitchen witch. Yeah, sorry. But honestly, you can take any dish that you like to make and you can create it to be magical. So if you go through the ingredients list and you look up the correspondences of each ingredient, you can kind of figure out what you can use that ingredient or that recipe for. Kia, you want longer videos? Girl, it takes me 8 hours to make one video. I give you like 15-minute videos. That's a long time. Oh my gosh. Longer videos, please. Psh. Okay. Kia, I don't astral project, so that is out of my my realm of knowledge, sorry. Okay. How do you let your coworkers know you're a witch but not freak them out? Honestly, I don't really care if they get freaked out by it, and most of the time I don't like go around telling people about it, and a lot of the time it's really difficult to have that come up in a conversation unless they like, you know, unless they see something of mine or like see a video or my Instagram or something, but most of the time I don't. Good night, Marcos. Most of the time I don't really like even tell them, and if they ask, I'm just like, oh yeah, I practice. If you have any questions, let me know. And if they're like, oh, that's weird, then I'm like, all right. So it's usually not like, at the end of the day, if they, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. More tipsy tarot, yes. Ken, silly question. No, it's not a silly question. Have I ever used dance or pole dancing in a spell? I personally have not. I know that that's a really good way to do so, but it's not actually, it's not something I usually do. I usually do it as a form of meditation for myself. It's not really anything to like manifest anything. Somebody asked me if y'all mods over here telling everybody to like and subscribe. Look at you go. Thank you. um, Somebody asked, what did your boyfriend think about you being a witch when you first got into a relationship? That's a very interesting question because he didn't know. Because I was not, open about it when we first started dating. And I think it was probably like a year and a half or so, or 2 years in, that I was like, oh, by the way, do you want to come to a Yule ball with my coven? And he was like, I'm sorry, what? And so we had that conversation, and he was a little uncomfortable, but he wasn't like, don't do that. He was just kind of like, you do you, just no spirits in the house. That's my only rule. So, yeah. Rachel, oh, I want to do another video with Carlos. I do, but it's just he lives so far away that it's really difficult to, and he works like fucking 3 jobs. Healthy Lime, what did he think after he found out you put a spell on him? So to clarify, this was after we were dating, and the spell was that he worked like 4 jobs at the time, so the only time I really saw him was like, oh, good morning, good night. Like there was I didn't really get to see him very often, so I did a spell for him to like think about me, and then 9 minutes later he texted me and was like all sweet. And I told him about that, and he said that it was cute, but I never did any kind of spells on him that was like binding or like, any of the heavy stuff, because I just feel like that's like not a real relationship, right? I just feel like do what you will, but that's like catfishing, not catfishing, but it's like whatever. Good night, Nancy. Have a good night. Ashley, what's my go-to spell work that works every time? There's a handful. It just really depends on what I need. But my money bowl I've had for years, and that has never really failed me unless I fail it. So, that's one of the things. Whew, okay, this video is getting pretty long, so I'm gonna answer just a few more, and then I need to like ground because it's been a weird day today. I've done so much. Jillian? I'm sorry. What do you do with an offering after offering it? This is a very good question. I had this question for a long time. So it depends on the offering. If it is food or if it is something that can rot, I leave it until it looks gross or until it starts smelling bad. I straight up will leave it until then. If it is something that is non-perishable, you leave it there forever. Candles and incense, you'll light them as you go. But yeah, usually, and then once the offering is rotted or like I need to throw it away, most of the time I will just bury it, and I have a pot that I'll bury it out there, or if I end up going on a walk or something like that, I'll bury it somewhere else. So yes. Good night, actually, possibility. Good night. Let's see. All right, I have a few. I'll answer a few more. Brooke, thanks for checking. I'm good. Just tired. I'm really drained today, so if I'm like a bore to watch, that's why. Let's see. The money bowl helped you pay off college? Dude, yes. You go. Will a money bowl work if you have a top on it? Yeah. I don't see why not. Weed. Bad for spell work or okay? I know plenty of witches who use weed in their craft, so I would say good. I don't smoke weed, but I know plenty of witches who do and use it in their craft, so Yeah. Let's see. Kayla Grace, with anything with spirits, I would go over to Adela Levine's YouTube. She knows a lot more about spirits than I do. So, yeah, I wouldn't be able to help you as much. Thank you, Jade. That's really sweet of you. I have no pot to bury spellwork in, unable to go on walks because I have physical problems. You can always just say thank you and throw it in the trash can. I like, as long as they know that it's out, you're not just like, okay, I'm done, and just like throwing it in the garbage. You really can just like say thank you for being an offering and putting it in the garbage nicely, maybe sprinkling just a tad of salt over it, and then you're all good. Yes. All right, let's see. Do I have moon rituals? And one of my favorites, Victoria. I like taking baths. I really just like taking baths and moon magic. Good luck on your test. I like taking baths and just like chilling, grounding, resetting intentions, things like that, and taking a day off. Let's see. Trish, you bought the book. Thank you. I'm really glad that you have it. I hope that it works out. I do love, oh yes, I love Adela. The Witch in the Medium is a good podcast. It's on Spotify. I don't know if it's on iTunes, but it's on Spotify. The Witch in the Medium. Go and listen to it. It's Dylan and Adela, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Mallory, what's my favorite tea? That's like asking what my favorite kid is. That's so difficult. Okay. Can you use food offerings for compost? Yeah, actually. I think that would be great because it's going back into the earth. I feel like this is why I love all of you, because you give me this amazing advice. Somebody asked if I was a vegan. I am not. Let's see. But is black coffee for... Yes, black coffee is so good for spell work. It's good for prosperity a little bit, but it's so good for speed, as we know why. It's really good for speed. So if you're trying to like speed up a spell and you're like, hey, like this would be good like now, throw in some coffee in there and enchant it for speed. It works really, really well. But just remember that when you speed things up, it may be a little bit different than, it may be almost like the cheap version of what you are asking for, so just keep that in mind as well. Whereas if you give the universe time to really figure out and sort things out, it will come out a little better quality. Does that make sense? Anna, how do I know when I should dispose of or replace a spell bowl or jar? So spell bowls and jars, both of them are a little different. Bowls are things that you can put things in and take things out, whereas the jars are the things that you put things in and you will work them by putting candles on top of them and letting them burn. So when things like spell bowls, you can kind of re-giddy up. Same thing with jars. When you feel like you've reached your manifestation with a jar, that is when I feel like you can kind of not work it as much. Or if you're totally done, you can just thank it. You can disassemble it and release and cleanse everything and throw everything away in a safe way, if that makes sense. And then cleanse everything. If it was a baneful magic thing, I would get that thing as far away as you can, but most likely it's not, right? Okay. Ooh, there's a lot of questions. All right. A few more. I keep saying that, but a few more. All right, let's see. No, you do not need a cauldron for your altar. I actually don't have a cauldron, so yeah. Starlove, I will not be doing private tarot readings. I'm not a tarot reader by trade, so, but Dylan is. Dylan's a really good tarot reader, and it's kind of scary about like how good he is about it. Let's see. Whew. Okay. How do you buy my book? It's in the description. It's called Little Cup of Magic. It's like this tiny little book about how you can use tea in your magic, and it's usually in my descriptions under support. So that's kind of the way it is. Where did I get my beautiful earrings? Oh, you're sweet. It is from Anna Luisa. They're one of my sponsors. They are one of the best sponsors I've ever had. I've not had a lot, but they're really awesome. So Anna Luisa, they're pretty amazing. You have the original zine. Girl, yes, thank you. I made it better, so I'm sorry for all the mistakes and stuff in it, but I really appreciate your support either way. Good night. Let's see. Oh, Lynn, this is a good question. Items from the metaphysical store, are they better than the candles you charge yourself? So you feel kind of inexperienced. So that just really depends. So personally, I like buying the not charged candles from a metaphysical store rather than the grocery store. The reason being is because you're in the metaphysical store, so it's surrounded by magical energy already. But that does not mean that it makes it more or less. I just feel like it's easier a little bit. But if you feel inexperienced, you can try which one works for you the most, because sometimes one or the other works a little easier. All right. Okay. I'm almost done. Almost done. Yes, Thea. Thank you. You are the best. Yeah, and I really appreciate those of you who are helping and answering other people's questions. This is what the Wonderlust Coven is, and what's really funny is when people tell me, "Good night, Camille." I'm so sorry. I feel like such an asshole. But when you are all like helping out each other and everything, every time somebody tells me that, like, oh, I read the comments in your video, they always tell me how sweet you all are. They are always telling me, like, oh my gosh, your community is amazing, and like the Wonderlust Coven, everybody in it, they're all so sweet, they help me out. And honestly, like, that really that really just like feeds my soul. It really does, because that helps. Somebody asked if I use houseplants in my practice. I kind of do, I kind of don't. It's mostly I keep them around as like friends. And then a lot of the time, if they start doing kind of badly for no reason, like after I've looked for parasites, after I've ruled out overwatering or underwatering, or ruled out like anything else, most of the time, and if it's usually plants that are like really hard to kill that start doing badly when I feel like there's like bad energy in my place, and then I'll cleanse, I'll put up protections, whatever, and then they'll start doing really good. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Good night, Taffy. Have a good night. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I'm gonna answer 2 more. No, we'll do 3 because 3 is witchy, right? 3 is witchy. Okay. Amanda, how do you know if a spell worked or not? That's a lot. Well, that's a lot more of a question, or more of an answer than let's see. It's not a quick answer. So basically, you'll know, especially if it's a bigger manifestation, like if you're like, oh, I want a promotion, you'll know because you'll get the promotion. Whereas if you're manifesting something like money, right? This I feel is a very common thing of like somebody's like, oh, I want extra money. And the universe is like, cool, you're gonna find dimes everywhere. And technically you're getting extra money, but you weren't specific enough. So that's why I suggest to write down everything, because then when you look back at the spell that you casted, you're gonna realize like, oh, I just said I wanted extra money, but I didn't like say I want an extra $50 every month, you know, instead of just finding dimes everywhere. So it's kind of like, it's kind of that idea of you really need to write down everything so that you know exactly what you asked for. And then that kind of comes out easier, if that makes sense. You'll kind of get a better feel of like, oh, that did manifest, just definitely not in the way that I meant to. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's see. All right, so there's one. I've got two more. Yes, healthy lime. Go for millions, not $50. What are you doing? Let's see. Is it okay to do the same kind of spell if the first spell didn't work? So again, this is a difficult question because there could be different reasons why the certain spell didn't work. If you did a spell that somebody else said worked for them, most likely it might have just been that you were directing energy in either a not specific way, you weren't being specific about it, or you were just, so like when you're casting a spell, you're sending direct energy to influence a situation, right? So when you're casting the spell, if you are not really sure what you want and you're kind of like changing up the what's the word? The intentions every so often, then your energy is just going to be like, and there is not going to be this like laser line focus manifestation. So yes, you can try the same spell again. However, if it didn't work, and this is because I've done this so many times where I've created a spell that like it didn't really work, and when I look back at it now, especially like some of my earlier spells, it was like, well, that's why. But you'll start to realize like maybe certain tools don't work well with you, maybe certain herbs don't work well with you, and again, this all comes with practicing. There's a reason we call it practice. All right, so that is number 2. I've got one more. I don't know why I sang that, but I did. Yes, Thea. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's totally, you're right. Definitely do divination. So to find out maybe why your spell didn't work, because sometimes if you get, sometimes it might just be like, now's not the time, or sometimes you might be like, oh, that's a good thing it didn't work, or it's a good way to get some clarification. Okay. I have one more to answer. Oh, there's a lot. Okay. Jessica, there's a lot of ways to charge things. So, I mean, you can do attention, the sun, the moon. You can do it with incense. There's a lot of different ways. All right. Okay. Oh, this question is really good, so do you feel like there's a trade in a spell? Like it costs something to gain something? Yes, yes, yes. There is no, so the universe works in a balance, right? It's nature. So if you send something out, that's why if you do work with deities or spirits, you have to give offerings in return for working with them, because you can't just take, right? You have to give something else out. So that's something that I forgot to mention in my money bowl, is that when you do kind of see that money start to arise, you have to spend it, not all of it, but you do have to keep that flow, right? So take somebody out for coffee if they're having a bad day. Maybe if you have a pet and you go to the pet shop and they ask, like, do you want to help a homeless pet? You hit yes. you can give away some things to charity. So those things, it's always going to be, oh yeah, are you hearing the crickets? I'm sorry. There's always going to be a give and a take, because that is just how natural energy works. If you throw something out of balance, the universe is going to correct it in whatever way that may mean. So if you're just taking something, then the universe is going to have to balance that out by taking something from you. And that might not be something that you wanted to give. So that's why it's important to already have something ready to give in return, if that makes sense. Okay. And Angelica, what type of magic do I practice? Magic. It's all the same. There's different ways of doing it, but magic is just magic. Okay. I am exhausted, but it has been really nice to talk to you all for like an hour. I think I've been talking to you for an hour. I actually set my alarm for 15 minutes. I was like, I do not have energy to do anything longer, but I really enjoy doing the Q&As. I like talking to you all. I just wish that I could get to everybody, but I know that I can't. But yeah, everybody, thanks for staying up. If you did, I know that a lot of you stayed up. I really appreciate you for hanging out with me for a little bit, and all of you who sent some money my way. You really don't need to do that. Hey, Thea, don't call me out, okay? I like answering the questions. They're fun. So yeah. All right, well, I am going to, oh, I'm sorry, Haley. You have a whole hour video to watch now, though. But, all right, well, thank you again. I really appreciate all of your time, all of your energy, and I hope that you all have a wonderful week. I'm hoping to have another video up Sunday, so I'll see you then. And yeah, as always, I will see you in the next one. Best of luck. Be kind to each other, and may your gods treat you as you've treated others. Okay, I need to go to bed. Bye. How do I end this? Oh my gosh, I'm such an old lady.